for the inland areas on the chart for that particular lake anyway. All right, back down to the coast. Okay, so this is what it looks like down off the coast. You got some, the pictures don't go out as far as I would like, the good pictures, but where they don't go out so far, you know, I do have the banks marked out here, and so it's easier to see where stuff is even if you don't have the pictures. But when you zoom in and you come in close to shore, you can understand how to navigate through back in this area. So here you have power lines going across wasters out here. It's all deep, but they got wasters all out here, and there's a deeper channel here, so I've got the track going like that. It's a little shallower in here. I got it going in this deeper water. Okay. Let's see what they got for that. Okay. Sort of slow. I don't know what's up with that. It's sort of slow. Trying to render that photo. Apalachicola. That looks like it's there. That's their rendition. Green photos. I don't know why it's slow like that. I mean, usually it should be fast, but I don't understand that. Let's see. Looks like over here. Looks like they got some oyster beds that they're showing out here. Okay. And then you got the main channel coming out. Let's see. It looks like on the other one. All right. Much brighter. These pictures are tough to work with. No wonder it's not so great on theirs either. But this is a little better. It's easier to see the banks and it's brighter. I don't have any track going in there for a reason. You probably could get in there on a high tide for sure. I just didn't mess around with that too much with all that oyster bars in there. But there's the main drag coming out. You got a shifting sandbar out over here. And you can see that real clearly right like that. All this water's dirty with all the sand flowing off that bar. And then this is pretty cool, this area up here, back here in this bay. So at the southern end of this thing, like you got this bay in here, and on this end of it, it's really cool. They got all this little channels and stuff like that, and you can see it pretty clearly there. And it comes out of here like that. think this might have got messed up in the hurricane, and they might be open here, but it's probably going to close back up. Let's see. Let's see what they got for that. Okay. It's a little dark. You can see the banks, but you can see the banks and the cuts. But it's very, very dark pictures. That's it. That's the way they do it. All right. Okay. St. Joseph Bay. All right, got a bunch of artificial reefs out here and tons of them out over here. And then we're heading over towards the main, almost to the end over here towards Pensacola. So this is all starts to get much easier to run this. This is what I was saying. The pictures these pictures aren't quite as clean as some of the other ones, but running in these bays here, these are all very deep open bays and pretty simple to navigate, most of them anyway, except for a few areas like maybe like there in that area. But most of these bays are just deep bays, and it's not really any big deal to understand how to come through there and to get in. But you can run this on the inside too, so some people would come in here like this on the inside instead of going on the outside. They want to run, if they were going to come down to this way, they can make that run there through this on that track, and you could, you know, come right down here like that, follow the tracks all the way down and cut it on the inside through that way, through all this stuff. And I don't think, you know, it's just another way to get out there. If you wanted to go through the bays instead of out in the ocean, you could do it this way, and you could come in here like that. If it was all rough out here, come in like that, go all the way down like this, all the way around, stay on the tracks like that, zoom out, get your bearings, say, okay, to stay in the middle of the bay like that, come right through here, get in this creek here, and do all the way down, straight across like that, and through that, and then out right over here. That would be something that you could do pretty straightforward, no problem at all. Otherwise, you're out in the ocean. Okay, there's nothing too exciting about this. These is, you know, just wide open bays. There's lots of details here. It looks pretty much like this all the way over to Pensacola in terms of what's on the map and the way that the pictures look on the product, and how detailed that we've made it. So no matter, even if you come way up here in these bays like this, you're going to see that kind of thing. Let's see what they would have on their map for that. That's not so bad. It's a little dark, but better than some of the other ones. Again, in this area, it's not a big deal. So let's keep moving and take a look over this way. See what they got over this way. Navionics. You can see that the pictures really start to pixelate when you zoom in over here. And let's see how it looks on this one. Yeah, this isn't so great on mine either, on the ISLA maps, but it's a little better and brighter and easier to read. Overall comparison purposes. So that's like 200 feet of zoom. It's like more than sufficient. Most people wouldn't. Most people would probably be running with it, you know, something like that. And that's pretty easy to read that in terms of understanding what you're supposed to be doing, looking for these buoys coming up in front of you. And then you come out into these very, very wide open, deep bays like this. And you come right across. Here you can see there would be under the bridge, through the buoys and the markers, straight across. And you can get up in here into these bays too. If you wanted to come all the way back up in this way. It runs all the way up in here. See what they got for that one? Just see how they did up that way. Yeah, that's pretty grainy. That's not so great, but it's not the end of the world in that particular spot, given that the water's so deep and there's nothing out there really. All right. Even though I don't have tracks, mine go way up in here like this. And people in kayaks or what have you, you could still use this product to come way up in here like this. And be able to have enough detail to understand what's coming up. All that whole river there is probably on there at high resolution. This one too goes way up like this. And you know, these rivers, they go way up all the way to the end of the state. It was all processed at high resolution like that. You can see it right here. It was processed here. It was not processed here. So this is still processed at high resolution all the way up where the water is. All the way up to Georgia or whatever the next state is up. Yeah, all the way up to there would go. So we're over here towards Pensacola. So this is the end of the chip. And this is what the pictures look like at the very, very end of Florida on the ISLA mapping. This is the end of the chip. It stops right there. This is the bay. And this is what it looks like on our chart. So these are just these wide open deep bays, no big deal. This is very easy to run all through here. Okay, so that is all the way across the Gulf and the edge of the state. So now we're going to head over towards Jacksonville, maybe look at some lakes inside and see what's happening here. Like I tried to go into all these lakes, like any kind of substantive water feature. I might have missed a few, doesn't look like I got that one, but I probably got some of these other ones that are bigger bodies of water, like probably this one. If you zoom in, it's going to be processed at a higher resolution so you can really see what's happening, even though it's not that big of a deal. It's just a deep body of water. If you poke around in here, around Gainesville, Orange Lake, Lake Wahlberg, Lake Panosovsky or whatever it is, you know, probably all of them are going to be on there at high resolution like that. Here's one. I don't even know what this lake is, but I set the machine to process the images at full resolution, and most of them are pretty clean. So Santa Fe Lake. So I think even around Orlando, like Lake Maitland, a lot of the small lakes around downtown Orlando, they are on there. And you can see a lot of stuff on a lot of them too. Springs and all kinds of things. All right, so over here on this coast, it starts up here near St. Mary's, Georgia. And I didn't realize it until after I got it, but the Navionics chip that I've got is not covering this area until I get south of Matanzas Inlet. So we're not going to be able to do any comparisons right here. And I don't have current, I've got an older version, but it's not the most current version. I don't want to show it unless it's apples to apples. So we're not going to show the Garmin stuff here until we get south of Matanzas Inlet for comparison purposes. But this is what I've got on ISLAs up here at the north end of the chip. St. Mary's entrance comes right in here. There's lots of creeks in here. This is what the pictures are going to look like for almost the entire thing, all the way down the coast. It's going to be bright like this. It's going to be very clean like this, and you're going to be able to see most of what you're looking to see running around through these oyster creeks and things like that. Okay, so let me get my bearings. So here's some more creeks coming in. All right, so this is a really crazy place. They got a 7-foot tidal change here in this area of the state. You come here at low tide and it could be a solid beach. And then at high tide, 7 foot of water in here that wasn't there 8 hours earlier. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. It's really, really crazy. So this is all obviously lower tide pictures kind of thing, so you can see how to run through here. When you have high tide, you wouldn't look anything like this. But it's just a really unusual spot, and it's an enormous tidal change. And I even say it right on there, 7-foot tidal change. So it's always shifting. The sand out here is always moving around, and these things do move from time to time. But last time, this is sort of the representation of where the bars were and how to navigate through. And they stay pretty close to that usually, but they're minor changes and you just need to be careful. Once you get in here, this changes a lot too through here. And then as you get further in, there's less and less change in terms of the bars and things as you get closer or further away from the mouth of the inlet there. But then these creeks, they come way back up in here, way back up in here. And they're all processed. You can see the processing. They were all processed at high resolution back up in this area. You can see how to run them all. Okay, so we're coming down towards, this is the inside run to get down towards Jacksonville. I went by here in the morning and it looked like a solid beach. The whole thing was just totally solid beach, and then later on in the afternoon it was like there was no beach at all. It's all covered up with water. All right, so this is the where Jacksonville starts, and coming in by the Navy base there, and pictures are very good. These are very sharp, clean pictures, and you can really see a lot of detail here. That's probably a track I'd ought to have on there that I don't have on there getting in here. The picture is so good you could actually see, if you wanted to try to do that, exactly how you would do it. If you could get across that bar, you could obviously make that run back up in here. I'm going to turn let me see what my depth contours are. I don't have the depth contours turned on, but since in the river here, is probably something that I might be able to use. So I don't know if I have any out here. Let me get back in there and turn that on, see if that's going to work. Okay. All right, let's see, got that. And that one on. If I have any contours in this area, I just haven't popped up yet. Okay, so they're out over this way. So here's where I've got some coming out of the inlet. But the river's all deep, easy to run, and really no problem. But this is a different pictures from the last pictures. The last version of the chip had the old pictures before they did all this construction at the intersection of the Intercoastal Waterway and the St. Johns River. And this has obviously all been updated now because this is what it looks like now. They got rid of all those rocks and that jetty thing that was out here, and then they constructed all this out here. And this is the way that you would navigate that now versus what it used to be. All this has been changed. Okay. We covered the entire St. Johns River system all the way down to the Stick Marsh, Sebastian Inlet area. It's going to go all the way. So here we're a little bit further into the river. You can see this has got a whole bunch of depth contours in here, 30 feet, 40 feet, what have you. We have Mill Cove. People come in here and fish. Very clean pictures in here. You can see the power lines through here. Very, very sharp images here. The bar, and this is the way you would negotiate that. People ask, well, do you have Mill Cove on? This is what it looks like. This is what it looks like. I wish I had the other chip to see what they have for this now, but I don't. Okay. This is all just very easy to run in the middle of the river. There's just nothing going on here. So let me mosey on down this way, see what it looks like sort of on the coastline down this way further into the river. Right through the bridge. Everything is very precise. You got 4 signs there. I don't think you'll see that on the other chips. There's an example of power lines, concrete abutments in the water, where you have these things way out in the water, and that's the location of them. These don't have them, just that one has it. These have them over here. There's some more. Okay, sort of speeding it up a little bit here since the river is not any big deal. These are the lakes off the St. Johns River. Comes all the way down in here. I think that's Lake George. And it probably comes up in here into this springs. So if you're coming in here to the springs, this is the ingress and egress into the spring. Right up in here, like that. And then you got all this Lake Kerr. That's a pretty good picture there. You can see the shallow bar in the lake there. It comes all the way down into close to Sanford. Get my bearings here. Lake Monroe, I-4 and Lake Monroe, and the boat ramp there. Which is right there. And people come into Lake Monroe and they head right on down. So we'll do that, get over towards the coast, and then we can look at the Intercoastal Waterway. So Lake Monroe is pretty easy. I don't know if we have that on this chip or not. Let me see if this one's covered. Not covered. Let's see. Yeah, they don't have any pictures for Lake Monroe, at least on this chip. Maybe I have to be on the other chip again. I think I have to put the other chip in. Let me put the other chip in. Okay, got the other chip in. This is what it looks like on the Navionics one for Lake Monroe. Again, they got the shady relief thing going on, and then when you zoom in, that's what you get. It's actually it's not that bad actually for Lake Monroe. So when you zoom in, it gets fuzzy, but it's not the end of the world. All right, so let's see how it looks as we keep on going down on the south end of Lake Monroe. Keep on going. This is the ingress and egress there. Keeping on going down, you can mine all through here like this, and this is what the pictures look like as you come down the river. You can come down in here into this gator infested Lake Jessup. Right out of the river. That's the way you do it. That's the way the pictures look. Or you can keep going down the river and snake her all the way through here like this. These are the runs to get all the way down in there. And then there's some things like, it's hard to see in these pictures, but there's a shallow bank here like that. That's why that's highlighted like that, with signs on each side. probably wouldn't be able to, I don't know if you could see that in their pictures. Let's see. Well, they have a different picture showing, it looks like it's an older picture, where there's weeds there. That's not a very recent picture, I don't think. Yeah, you can see that the picture's too old. Now that those weeds aren't there anymore, and you just have the shallow bank there, where it used to be on that one. But it winds around like that, and you just keep on, you can just keep on going all the way around through like that, down here, and go past these PVCs into this lake. And then you get on the south end, and you got to go through this windy way to get in like that. It's hard, it's very, very poorly marked. You wouldn't be able to really know it unless you had a track to follow like that. You could get yourself in trouble. It's all dirty water, and you can't really see it that well. And it's just really hard to understand how to do that. You want to when you're here, you want to stay on this side. You don't want to run it like that. Looks like you could run it like that. Stay on this side. I know you can't do that because I did it and I ran aground there. So this is an example of post line, barbed wire and posts and stuff like that that used to be sunk in the water there. I snuck through, but I was bumping the whole time, churning up mud and everything like that. This is much better to stay out on this side once you get through here. It's shallow coming out of there. Here's another post line there. And you can see this thing winds around for a reason. There's a little channel here. It's hard to see in this dirty water. There's a channel. You want to stay right in there. And if you don't, it gets trouble. I got a stop sign here to avoid you going to this spot. You got to do it like that. You know, that's not the greatest picture, but the track is right. And you want to avoid keeping on going straight. It looks like maybe you could go straight there, or you can't. There's a bar there. It's really a crazy place to try to run through here, through this part of the river. And then you have this post line here, like this, and it winds around like all this crazy stuff, but it's just the way it really is. And then you get down here into the river, and the pictures get better, which is good because there's more stuff going on. You got this post line here. You got to make that curve. There's gators everywhere here. I mean, literally gators on almost every curve. There's gators jumping off into the water and stuff. I never seen so many gators in here. I mean, there was literally hundreds of them when I made this run a few months ago. But here's how to run through there. And there's obstacles here. You can see in the pictures, you know, that it gets sort of crazy through the weeds and stuff like that. But those are the twists and turns, and it's easy to get lost because some of the weeds are high, and it's easy to get disoriented when you're here, particularly when you get into like there, trying to figure out exactly where you're at and what creek to go into to keep going in the direction that you want to get going, because there's lots of different creeks, obviously. Some of them are really not so great to navigate, so you have a couple different options when you're coming down here. You can get to about this point, and you could stay on this side, or you could stay on this side. And if you zoom out, you'll understand that really quickly. Hey, I need to get on one or the other. Which one do I want to take? And just depends. So it winds all through here, but if you didn't have a track to follow and you're actually out here doing this, it's almost impossible to know what track you're supposed to be on, what creek you're supposed to take in order to keep going. If you didn't have this and you were here, you probably end up going like that because it's big, and you'd end up down here in a dead end down here instead of taking that turn there and keeping on going, which gets you all the way down to the bottom and the highway down over here. And when you get there, it just keeps on going all the way down, and it keeps on winding around, and that's what you got. Let's see what they got for a picture like that. No picture. I don't know if that's covered on that map. Oh, well, they don't have pictures there. They got pictures over here. So this entire system here is not on this chip. You'd be... Okay, I see a track. I see a track through here. Some kind of purple line. I think that's a track. Let's see if that's actually a track. I'll put my cursor on where they say a track is, and then see if it's the same one. Sort of goes like that. Well, it does go like that, so maybe they got it right. It goes like this, and then like that. Let's see, put it back. Sort of curious about that. They have the track right. That's pretty close. I mean, not exact, but pretty close. So someone was thinking about where a track's supposed to be. That's a good sign. All right. Coming all the way down. It just keeps on going. It's a crazy run through all these weeds. And along the way, you can see the sandbars and stuff through here. Some of them get shallow. That's why there's caution symbols on there. Because there's bars. You need to be careful when you come around, like that one, for instance. There's caution here and there because of this bar here. And up here, you can clearly see that there's a problem here getting through there. And that's the reason that there's caution around that corner there. But it just keeps going and going and going all the way down, and the pictures are pretty good until you get way past. This is I think that's 50, and State Road 50, and then you come down in here in Lake Poinsett. I used to fish this when I was a kid years ago, and then it keeps going further and further down into another lake, and then another lake, and eventually ends up all the way down here in the Stick Marsh area. So it comes down actually to that far, and there's probably a dam up here as well. I'm sure there's a dam. I can't remember where it is. Lake Washington, I think. You can't get past that. Yeah, like right here. There's an airboat ramp. So there's an airboat ramp there, and you can't get past that dam at Lake Washington. But if you had an airboat, you could go like that. And that's why the track stops here and stops there. You could go through that way. Okay, so it goes all the way down the Stick Marsh. So I sort of got off my track here. I should have gone down the Intercoastal Waterway. So I'm going to come back up here to the Intercoastal Waterway so we can finish this review. We were sort of up here at Jacksonville and went down the river instead of the Intercoastal. But this is the intersection, and this is what the pictures look like for the St. Johns River, or the Intercoastal Waterway south of the St. Johns River as you get down, heading down towards the south. And it shows you all the ingress and egress of all the bars. And this is what you're going to get up in the north end there. That's what it looks like, the creeks. Sure I got the brightness up all the way. Yep. Okay. You get here, it takes, the track goes all the way over this way, down that creek there. And there's nothing too exciting down here until you get a little bit further down. More detail here. I don't think that we're down far enough where we can load up the other chip yet. I think we have to be south of here before the other chip is on. Okay, St. Augustine Inlet. And the buoy's coming in off the inlet. Jetty, big bar coming out. Come in the inlet. You can go immediately this way, through here, through these markers here, through this little bay. That's the ingress and egress there. Or you can come in around this way, past the fort, over here, past these big markers. You can see them in the picture. And under the bridge, famous bridge, and past the Sandbars. Keep going south. What's this? Looks like there's some posts here. Got danger symbols here because this dock is broken. There's a pier that's stuck out here. Looks like there's some sunken pilings there. Okay, keep on going. Some bars in the middle of the river there, and some bars out over here. Those creeks. And we're getting down towards, further down towards Ponce Inlet. And you have these little creeks in here, all these little oyster beds and things. Let's see if we got chip coverage here on the other one. I don't know if they're down this far yet. Let me see if they're on here yet. Nope, it's not covered yet on that chip. I need to go further south before I get. Okay, need to get further south, and let's see. This is, I think this is like flagler and everything, but you can see all the detail here on the tracks and the oyster beds here in this area. This is, I think this is, let's see, let me get my bearings here, just south of St. Augustine. You can see all the little shallow banks and bars and stuff in here. And these black tracks and red tracks, depending on the time of the tide. So I could get across here at low tide. I couldn't get through here at low tide. That's the reason it's just too skinny here at low tide for a typical boat like mine anyway. But at high tide, you can go all back in here like that. And people come back in here and wind through all here too, like this. And all this, you can see all these oyster beds back in here. There are just tons of oyster beds back in here. They're all highlighted like that, so it's obvious where they're at. Most of them that are next to the tracks anyway have been all highlighted. And you can see that they're actually exactly on the edges of them. There's hundreds and hundreds of them. And this one comes in off the river and then turns black here, because once you start getting past that area heading back here at low tide, it gets a little too thin. And it's just the way it is. And then here it's red, it turns black here, it stays red like this all the way till you get about there. Let's see what's going on here. So I have it stopping here, and you need to pay attention, because once you get past that, you know, just may not be enough water to get through there to get back in this way. So it's better to be safe than sorry. All right, so we're getting close to Matanzas, and that's a pretty crazy spot here. So you keep coming down, you gotta wind off to this side to go to the inlet, or you keep on going down the river, and they got these bars out here and the buoys, and you got to go like that. You got to avoid that bar, and I've been there a few times, and the bars are generally pretty close to that area, and you got to go sort of close to the shore. And then here you can run on this side of the bar usually. Sometimes it gets a little tight up in here. All right, so then you have this big wide open river here coming towards the inlet, and lots of boats coming through here. It's usually idle only through here, I think. That's probably what these signs are. Boats line up all through here, and lots of boats are idling around this way. You come around this huge sandbar, you got to swing way down like that. The bar comes way out like that. And then you come back towards the bridge, up under the bridge, and this is the latest representation of where the sandbar is out there. This moves around a little bit. Sometimes this opens up, it closes up or whatever, but the track usually stays just like that, very similar to that. And then sometimes this bar comes further out, or this gets cut further in, but it's pretty close to that usually. And it gets a little crazy out here. You can see there's a bar here. Right there, and you can see the breakers there. It's really a challenge to get through here, and it's very dangerous. That's why it says closed to navigation. They don't want any boats coming through there, but you can get in and out of there, no problem. It's just that you need to be very careful when you're coming up through here. You need to be able to see very well what's going on, and be careful. So that's Matanzas. And let's see if the pictures are, I think that they're on here south of this place. Let's see if they're on now. Not sure where it starts. Oh, it's down here. Okay. So south of Matanzas, there is a lot of creeks, and marine land is right over here. You can see the buoys there and the jetty there, bar here. You can come in here to this little creek here. You can actually come way back into here. And when you come in, some people launch over here, up here, come in like this. When you get through here to this Palliser, If you got really low water conditions, you need to be real careful here and here, trying to figure out how you're going to get over to the Intercoastal, because it can get tight coming out of there. You just need to be careful about that. It's very challenging, as you can see, getting in like that, like around through there like that. And you got a few options to do it. You can come through like that and try to sneak up this way, if you can get across that bar through there, or you can keep going down to this one, try to get through there like that, or you can keep going and try to get through there, or you could keep going north and try to get through up over here. But all of them could be trouble, and it's pretty obvious from looking at the pictures that that's the case. But that's the way that they do it when they launch out here to come over to the Intercoastal Waterway. They come through one of those routes. And you keep going right down. And I didn't get every single creek with tracks in it. Here's another example of a creek that probably, you can see that boat there. This is obviously a creek that people use and get into, but it's one of the few that I didn't track, at least not yet. That I probably need to do some tracking in here, because you can tell that boats are coming back in this way. I just don't have enough experience here in this particular spot. But the pictures are pretty good, so you could try to figure it out. And I got the bars marked pretty well. And let's see if I'm on the right pictures here with these guys. Yep, still not down far enough south. Okay, let me keep coming. This is all pretty straightforward. This is the 100 feet of zoom, Intercoastal Waterway. It's pretty good. You can actually make that run or the other run. Okay, come down here towards this Smith Creek. Smith Creek. And come down out of Smith Creek like that, and there's a crazy bar here, right here. And you go past that, it could get real tight. The sandbar through that area there, rock bar out there. Over here too, right here. It's a bar that sticks out like that, an oyster bar, and an oyster bar sticks out like that. It's hard to see it in that picture, but that's where it is. There's another two bars, another bar sticking out here. This picture's not so great. Well, that's 50 feet of zoom, so it's, let me see if I'm on the pictures now. I'm pretty far south. Yeah, they got pictures here now, so you can tell this is their pictures for this area. And See if you can see those bars. You can't see them in the pictures at all. It's just way too fuzzy and nasty. Look at that. You can't see any of that. No track, no nothing. You wouldn't really be able to use this at all here. It's better if you use it sort of like that, so it lights up the waterway a little bit, but you really wouldn't be able to see any of the obstacles that are out there, which are everywhere really. And this is the runs through here that I did. Which could be sort of crazy, but that's that for Smith Creek area. Keep going south. Tomoka. You can come way back in here to the river. And under the bridge. That's the track through there, all the way out to up here towards the river, and then up into the Intercoastal Waterway by Ormond Beach, heading down towards New Smyrna, Daytona. Pretty straightforward to run through here, and then we'll end up down into the lagoon, Mosquito Lagoon, Indian River area. All right, so we got a lot of stuff going on here as we get closer to the inlet. So you can see you got this big bar sticking out like that. Bars out here, PVC stakes out over here. There's a lot of activity going on in here with obstacles and figuring out how to navigate through there. Let's see how they represent that. That's not so bad, actually. Look at that. They showed it pretty well. The pictures are fuzzy when you zoom, but you might actually even be able to figure it out from looking at that photo. They got a bunch of clouds and things up here, but it's not the end of the world for this spot. Okay. All right. Keep moving. All right, we're getting close to Ponce Inlet. And this is going over towards Ponce. Some creeks over this way. Spruce Creek. There's the lighthouse right here. And Disappearing Island down over here. And you can see this is we have a lot of moving sand here. So this is the inlet, jetty, tracks and the buoys coming this way past the Coast Guard station down over this way. And you can see that I've got yellow lines here that don't sort of line up exactly with the picture sand, and that's because this stuff changes so often that I have to change the lines more often than the pictures. So these lines sort of represent the latest read of where the bar actually is. I can change the lines pretty fast. The pictures are very hard to change, and they're not available so quickly. But it's pretty close to where it is. But the yellow lines are actually more representative right now of where this bar is than where the picture is for this spot. And then right here, as you come out, you can come through here like this and get in around the jetty there. But this is now is now where the bar is out. It actually grew from here to out to here, and that's where it is right now. And I drew the line on there to let people know that, because if I didn't draw the yellow line, People might think that the bar was here still, instead of having grown out this way. And it's not to say that, you know, in months to come that it won't go back to here again, but that's where it was last time. Okay, keep going down. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. This stuff really never changes, but this is the run all the way down to Oak Hill area and the top of the Mosquito Lagoon area, all of that. There are lots of oysters in here. That's what these represent, these oyster beds. You can see them in the pictures pretty well. And these are the runs through the Intercoastal Waterway this way, down past Oak Hill and coming towards the north end of the lagoon area. Okay, you can see all the little bars in here, all of them, like that. We got some poles that cross the lagoon there. These are poles out in the go across. That's what those circles are. Some kind of utility poles or something like that. And you can actually see them in the picture. See that pole there? I think they're utility poles. One here and one here. And then you can see the oyster bars through here. So those are pretty good pictures for that. Let's see, this is the north end of the lagoon. Let's see what they got over here on this chip for this particular spot. Okay, so you got to zoom in to get to the pictures. And when you do, this is the picture they have for this area. Ooh, okay. That's pretty dark. So I guess it's okay, usable over here in the main channel over here. But once you get off the main channel and you want to go exploring back here in these little creeks and things like that, these pictures are just not sufficient in order to be able to do it with any confidence anyway. You'd be running around worrying all day, and if you're going to run into something and exactly what you're supposed to do, because most people would get frustrated and they'd be like, I got to zoom in more to really see what's going on, and then that's what you get. You get something like that, and you just can't really see for sure exactly, you know, you sort of see a bar here, but you're not sure exactly where you should cross it, or if you should do that, or what have you, if you were trying to use this. So just for comparison purposes, that shows you a little bit better what's happening there. And I don't even have a track over here, it stops here, but that's a classic example of, you have to do it like that. You have a caution here and a caution here, and it's a little tight getting across that bar coming over on the north end to get over this way. Okay, so these pictures spent a lot of time on this, making this bright and easy to read, or the easiest possible to read it, so you didn't have to squint all day. And it turned out pretty well, so it's pretty bright here anyway. Slippery Creek runs from Intercoastal all the way over towards the beach. And then I think Shotgun's over here. I think they call this Shotgun. That runs from Intercoastal straight up like that, through here like that. Oops. Up this way. Yeah, it's pretty easy to run that. So you can see that run. And when you get over towards the beach over here, and you're running on the inside here, That's pretty easy to run that, but you got to watch out for these bars that stick out, and then there's some stakes out here, PVC stakes. And then they got this bar here, and there's 3 PVC stakes on that. At least last time I was there was. And then there's another bar here that sticks out. You can see it, the lighter water in there, and it can get pretty shallow there. That's why that PVC stake is there, marking the end of that bar. And then there's one here too. And then you get further down, you wrap around here, and you get close to this boat ramp over, I think that's near Playa Beach. And you have these bars sticking out there. And then this is George's bar across here. Pretty easy to see it on the pictures. And then you can actually run on the inside of it like that. Okay, and then you have Tiger Shoals out this way, and Pollan Shoal zones. So this is the Pollan Shoal zone. That's what these markers are noting, the Pollan Shoal zone. I think I have a line for that too. I'm going to turn that on. Maybe I turned it off by accident. Should be a line for, oops, let me get in there. Turn that on. Turn that on. Fences, Pollan Shoal boundary, roads, rocks, tracks. All right, so that is the Pollan Shoal boundary, connecting all these yellow or these orange markers, which are Pollan Shoal signs. Okay, and then you have in the lagoon, you have the Pollan Shoal boundary goes all the way around like that, and you're not supposed to be running inside here. But there's this one area, this is on the other chip too, this run here, that allows you to run on plane inside the Pollan Shoal through this corridor here. Okay, there it is, just like that. You have to run it just like that. Now these are not NOAA markers, so you're not going to see this on the other chart, but these are the markers that they put out there, little tiny little markers that you're supposed to use to run it. And you can see there's like a little channel here, and you can use that to run inside there, and it's been that way for quite some time. But you can see the Pollan Shoal zone sort of stops here, starts here, and you can run in like that. It's really the only place that you can do that. And the only thing I'd mention about this, and this was on the other video too. All right, I haven't been there lately, but the last time I was there, and this has always been a problem, when they first made that thing, you can see this bar. When they first made this run, they had the red marker and the green marker noting the entrance to get in here. And you can see that they obviously placed them there instead of down here. And then they realized that they should have not placed them there because they were incorrectly placed. And they decided to just leave them there instead of taking them out. And that's the reason that there's stop signs here, because last time I was there, they were still there. And if you follow those signs and go through there because you didn't know any better, you're going to run into that bank right there. There's a sign there. So I put these on. I left these there because they're still there, but I put these stop signs to keep people from going through there. They may have taken them out by now, but I don't know. But down here is really the entrance to it, and that's where there was 2 stakes there, and that's where you go through to get into this this thing that you can run. Let's see. Let's see if you can even. I'm just sort of curious on this updated chip if you can see that on that new one they put out. Okay, so that's the way that they represent it. And there is something here. I'm not sure what that is. It says North Running Lane Pollan Shoal Zone. So that means it's like the entrance to the North Running Lane. And it looks like it's this looks to be a community edit. I think that's a community edit when they got the plus sign. So they've got it right there, like that's where you're supposed to go through. I don't see any red and green marker though, but they got the entrance to it there. So let's see how accurate it really is. Well, that's where it was, and this is the red and green markers over here that are wrong. So it's really not very good. This is the entrance to it down here, not up here where they had that thing. That's what I'm saying, is those community edits are just, you can't really rely on them to really tell you much. It's just a general, very general, sort of near in the area somewhere kind of idea. But this is the run through the inside like that. Okay, so this is the middle part of the lagoon, and all over canal down here. And these are the little clinker islands along the edge, and how to get through on the back side of those. And you got these rocky bars that stick out like that. Okay. And then you have all over canal here. This is the boat ramp here. Let's see take a look at that. So this is the boat ramp at Haulover Canal. That is 100 feet of zoom. You have these jetties that stick out here, and the markers on the end of them, tons of manatees in here. In fact, I think you can see manatees in these pictures. I think that's what those are. That's a manatee. It's a manatee. One. All these little dots are manatees in here. All right, and you go down Haulover Canal. You got a sign here, rock jetty, another rock there. You come on the south end, you can take this little shortcut through this little bank here. And this is the run back in towards the Indian River. And if you wanted to run up into the north end of the river, you can cut back across through here to run that way. Or you can run down further and cut through there to run out there. These are posts or signs out here, dual post signs out there. And then you can keep going south. So when you come out of Haulover Canal, here's the jetties on the other side. You have some signs out here, a lot of markers out here. That's what's there. And then you have this bank right here. It's hard to see it, particularly when it's night or dark out. You just won't know it's there. And it seems like it's in the middle of nowhere. You come out of the thing and you start making the turn, and if you don't know where it's at, you just sort of go like that, which could happen very easily. You run right into that thing. So you just run right down south to the south end of the lagoon, and you can see the edges of the Pollan shoal and the grass and the flats and stuff through here. That's what the yellow line is. And Pollan shoal was, I think it was up further up north the other way. But these are all shallow areas, and where the yellow is sort of the edge of the flat that you would be pulling around on for redfish or what have you, or just off the edge of it. And that's why there's no tracks going up on there. And then you have whale tail here on the south end of the lagoon. And you can keep obviously going back into here in these little creeks. And that's about as far as I could go in my boat. But these are the banks and everything, and this is how you would get around the back side of the bottom of the lagoon. So that's that. And then you have the Indian River system this way. We already looked over here on the river system for the St. John's. Okay, but we didn't look yet into East Lake and West Lake Toho and the Harris chain and the Kissimmee chain and some of the little lakes in Orlando They're all in here. They're all on the map. Lake Apopka, all this stuff, all these lakes are on there in full resolution. So let's keep going. Down Indian River. So they got these little clinker islands down all through this way. You keep on going straight south like that. That's how clean the pictures are in the river. You see, people fish up on those flats there. Go past Parish Park if you're launching there. A lot of people launch there. Highlighted all of the shallow areas sort of in the middle of the river, and try to do the best I could to brighten the pictures up a lot so you can really see the bars where they stick out along the edge. Here's one I didn't highlight, but they're pretty obvious there. Signs. And this is power lines going across the river. You can see 1, 2, 3 concrete abutments. It's probably 4th. I think I missed that one. Or maybe not. There's at least, maybe they just do 3. But anyway, that's pretty typical for the Indian River. It looks like this all the way down. There's some things when you get down here that I found, and sometimes you can get across that, sometimes you can't, kind of thing. I made that note, and then this is how to cross the canal to get from one river to the other. And you come through this canal here, or not through this canal here. It's sort of a pain because I think most of it's idle. And you come through like that, and then you're close to the Space Center. There's a lot of stuff going on here. There's the locks. So you can see the lock right there. You come right through there like that. And you're out into the ocean through here. That's what it looks like. You got a lot of activity, military activity, things like that. And I don't think you're even allowed to go up this way anymore. But if you can, this is the way you would do it. You can actually get tracks all the way up here into the Space Center area. Look at that. This is over near where they launched the rockets. I don't think you're allowed up in here anymore. But you can see they got some deep holes, 25 feet, 20 feet, and 1 foot. You know, and years ago you could do all this, and I don't think you can do it anymore. Look at that. You can see that big channel. Looks like it was even dredged out. In the pictures you can see it pretty well. But I don't think you'll have much of a chance of getting in here anymore without running into a problem. Okay. Keep going down. You have power lines going across here. Yeah, it says entering secure zone for the Space Center. So I think that's sort of the cutoff anymore for how far north you can go. I don't think you're allowed to go north of there. Up this way. I just don't think that's allowed any longer. Banana River, Indian River, Merritt Island area. Looks pretty much like this the whole way. Let's see what they got for that. Okay. Well, I can sort of see the power lines in there, but the picture is really bad. But you can see something that looks like I think that's the power lines. Maybe, I don't know. I think that's what that is. But that's Navionics for Merritt Island area. Okay, that looks a little better, and then can keep moving down. You can see they got these bars like that, these little sandbars sticking out. This is all pretty simple, very, very simple to run this. Pretty obvious to run it. This is one of those like rotating bridge deals, I think. Here, abutments on the end. And come out here, the power lines going on. You can get in the creek here, it looks like, under the bridge. All right, Palm Bay. Shallow bar. Sandbars. Tracks come in this way, under the bridge to the Palm Bay Marina. And then they keep going back here to this boat ramp here. Clearly see that. And that's the ingress and egress there. Tracks go all the way back in here to these neighborhoods. Okay. There was some crazy stuff going on here when I was there. There's some kind of rock thing here and rock thing there, PVC stakes here, lining this to get back into this area. And then you had these little shallow bars lining it. Let's see what they got for that. Okay. Well, that's not so good. I don't know why they would put a picture like that on there. I just have no idea what they're thinking about why this would even make it onto the product as something that they would want to disseminate out to the public to run around with. This is unbelievable. That is really incredible that they would do that. I just don't understand it. But that is what it is. That is what it is. I mean, that's brand new. That was just updated. Okay. All right. You would never be able to figure that out from looking at that chip. That's for sure. You would be completely lost to understand what to do there. All right, so we got a lot of stakes out here, big stakes. I'm not sure what is going on. There was, as we get closer to the inlet, there was some rows of PVC stakes here, big stakes out over this way. I think they're oysters. I'm not really sure what it is. And then there's a shallow bar here. And just a lot of stuff going on as we're getting closer to the south end of the boundary of this particular chip. But all along the shoreline is all this crazy stuff. You have these bars that are out like this big pier that sticks out like this with a platform at the end. You know, You need to get around that bar to do it. That's why there's a caution symbol there to make sure you clear it. And the same thing with all of them. They got these ones that stick out like that. It's easy to miss those bars when you're running this way and think that you've cleared it and you haven't. And then there's obstacles like this. Looks like, see all these little posts and danger symbols? This looks like this pier used to be out all the way to here. Probably used to go all the way out like that, and now it's no more. So all these rubble and pier remains are out here. Let's see what they got for that. See if they got their picture better down this way. Well, it's not so great, but you're probably just better staying in the main channel and looking at it like this with this one. And that's probably what they want you to do, is just stay in the main thing. But the problem is that most people don't do that. They want to go exploring and go into off the beaten trail to get fishing spots and things like that. And so that's why that just wouldn't work, really. People will never use it like that. Unless they were just running a big boat and they wanted to stay right in the middle of the Intercoastal Waterway, that wouldn't be a good choice. All right, so here we are at the south end of the North Florida chip on the East Coast at Sebastian Inlet. This is Sebastian Inlet on the North chip. There is the jetty, there's the inlet, there's the South Jetty and the North Jetty. There are the tracks, there's that little bay. You come down here like this, you got the boat ramp down here, you got buoys out here. You got sandbars all over the place when you come out here. It's very confusing and there's crap loads of markers everywhere. Look at all these markers. These are all signs. I guess they're sandbar signs or wildlife refuge signs or something like that. A mark in the edge of this shallow area. And then you have the red and the green markers here too. All through here. It's just tons and tons of markers. But this is the main channel like that. And that is really what it looks like. But you could come in here, fish that trough, as long as you can't get across there at low tide. It's too shallow. You can go on the inside of the bar and then you go down this way to keep going south. Or you can cut through like that, through this little cut there. And then you come over here to the San Sebastian River. There's like tarpon and things like that in here at certain times of the year. But this is crazy too, because of this bar. Like inside these signs here, this bar sticks way out, gets at low tide, it's very shallow in here. It's deceptive, the water is generally dirty, and if you're trying to get over here and you make that like that, you will definitely run aground right there, no problem. Ask me how I know, I've already done that. So that's the reason why it curves out like this, and that's the reason why the ingress and egress with markers out here like this. When you come through the bridge, you got oysters on either side. It comes back in here. It does get real shallow once you get past these power lines. It starts to get real shallow in here. There's lots of tarpon up in this area certain times of the year, and you can catch them up here. But anyway, that is the lion's share of it for the Intercoastal Waterway. And then I also have, you can see the edge. This is the bottom of the pictures, the good pictures right here at the fork and the inlet, right like that. And then this is the South Florida chip. Now the South Florida chip would have good pictures down here, and it would probably stop the good pictures at about there. And then everything north would be fuzzy pictures, just like it's fuzzy down here. But on this North Florida chip, it cuts off here, and then, but I also included the stick marsh here. So this is the stick marsh. Not that it's really anything exciting to see, but there is some pictures for stick marsh on the North Florida chip, and it goes all the way up in here too, up into here, and even in these little canals and creaky canals like this. Lots of airboats and small boats and bass boats and things come up in here. It's pretty crazy. And you could run that. You can see how that goes all the way up in here like this. Okay. So now that's pretty good for the coasts. But one thing that I did on this update was to put most of the lakes on. So I don't know if I got every single lake, but I tried to get the whole Kissimmee chain, for instance. So like here's part of the Kissimmee chain. If you zoom in, you're going to see the pictures get very clean. These are all what you're going to see, like East Lake, West Lake, Toho, all that kind of stuff. It's going to all look like this, or something similar to this. Okay, you're going to be able to see where the weeds are really, really well, and the pass through the weeds. 200 feet, 100 feet, 50 feet. You can really see really well what you're supposed to be doing here if you wanted to find where the weed paths were and things like that in that place. Let's go to some other places. Like here is East Lake Toho, for instance. It's all open in the middle, but here's where the boat ramp is you would launch out of here. This is the East Lake Fish Camp, and you come out of there, you go right down the canal, and this is what it looks like right now. You can see the weed pass like that, you know, trolling motor through here, all the way over through there like that, and then you can come through this canal like that all the way up into here. Looks like there's a spring there. Look at that, unnamed spring. I didn't even know that. All right, that's that. Over here at West Lake, north end of West Lake in Kissimmee. So here's the main boat ramp at Kissimmee for West Lake Toho, main marina area. And that's how to run out of there. You can see that the pictures are very good around the islands. You can really see what's going on here in terms of where the weed mats are on the hydrilla and all that kind of stuff. Okay, and how to get through all the way down to the south end at the lock. So you come down here, this is the lock, and you can see you go right through, the track is going right through the lock. You can see the shoreline there, weeds all around the edge. And looks like there's a boat ramp here where you could get out there. Okay, so that's East Lake and West Lake, and probably some of these other little lakes around here are on there too. Let's see. Okay, so I tried to do every substantive water feature. The chances are, if it's a pretty decent sized piece of water, it's probably going to have good pictures like this for it. This is Lake Mary Jane, and the canal's going in and out of there down to this one here, Lake Myrtle, and the canal going out of that one down to Lake Joel, and so forth and so on. They're probably all on there. Let's go up here to these lakes here and see what this is all about. So this is Lake Louisa. Looks like a spring-fed lake. Lake Susan. And Lake Minnehaha. Look at that. Lake Mineola. This looks like Lake Apopka. Okay, that's a pretty dirty lake. There are a lot of people fish up here in this Harris chain. So this is the Harris, I think Lake Harris chain of lakes. Up this way, up by Leesburg. Pretty decent photos for the lakes in terms of understanding the vegetation and the shoreline and all that. Lake Weir. Okay, that's pretty typical of those lakes. And I mean, I've even done, you know, like Lake Maitland and some of the stuff around downtown Orlando. Here's downtown Orlando. Let's see what we got going on down over here. This looks like, yeah, that's down near Lake Butler and all that. This is near downtown Orlando. Some of the lakes down here even are on there, and pretty clean pictures. Look at that. Lake Fairview, Lake Killarney. Look at Lake Killarney. You can really see what's going on in Lake Killarney. Look at that. That's an incredible picture for Lake Killarney. You can really see into the water what's happening with this place. I was really surprised to see that. Over here, Lake Maitland. And you can see a lot of good stuff here in Lake Maitland too. Into the water really well. There's one of the lakes is like, let's go take a look at Penobscot or whatever they call it, over this way. See if I can find it on here, because it's pretty incredible to look at that lake. There it is. All right, that's I-75, I think. Look at this. That's incredible. This is, I don't know how this picture turned out like this, but you can really see what's going on here. 100 feet. I can see so much stuff in here, at least on my screen anyway. You can really see it like all the way down to the bottom of the lake. And then you can see this weed mat here. And then you have, you know, the canal system, I guess, that comes into it here from residential areas that feeds back toward Citrus County this way into this lake. Like that. It's pretty remarkable to see those pictures here. And then even inland here, back in this area here. This is really sort of cool to see this. You can really understand how to navigate around in here with these pictures if you've never been to a place like that before. It's all inland. This is pretty far in. You won't find any pictures like this on the Navionics. I just don't think they cover anything inland like this. And then even back here on this river, I would be surprised, I probably have this whole river system on. Yep. So this entire river system through here, even if there's no tracks, if it's substantive water, I covered it like that. You can really see how to navigate through there if you wanted to go off paddling down there. It runs all, I mean, the whole way up. The whole way up. This comes into this lake here by Crystal River that they flooded this whole timber area and you have to go through these markers like this. This is tons of markers right along the edge. This is all flooded timber, Lake Rousseau, and if you don't stay in this channel like this and you start getting out of there, going on plane, you could sink your boat. It's huge stumps and boulders, big wood stumps everywhere out here. I've got marked stumps and stuff out here all over the place. Here's some out here with PVC stakes on them. That's why they have all these markers, because there's just big, huge stumps, and it says that right there. It's a pretty crazy place to fish in there. Lots of bass in there. So that is some of the lakes. We also have some up in here. This is some of these lakes up in here. Like, what's this one here? Lake Kerr. And here's one that I didn't do. I didn't do that lake. It surprised me. That's a pretty big lake, and I didn't get it on there at full resolution. And I missed that one too. But most of them are done. Okay, so like this one here is on. This looks like it's Orange Lake up by Gainesville. So Noonan's Lake, Orange Lake, Lake Wahlberg is on there. That's probably Lake Wahlberg right there. Oh, that's Noonan's Lake. So I guess most of the lakes are on there, and even some smaller lakes are on there at full resolution like that. So if you live on a lake and you're interested in is it on there or not, more than likely it is. It's not 100% guarantee, particularly if it's a smaller lake, but the chances are it probably has some coverage there. So that is the North Florida update for ISLA mapping. And now we're going to do a new video for South Florida, because there's been a lot of updates for South Florida. So if you're interested in South Florida, in all of the map updates that have gone on down here, particularly after the hurricane, we're going to do a video too, an updated video showing South Florida with all the updated map features that are on there. So if you're interested in that, there'll be a separate video for that. So stay tuned. All right, happy boating.